Today we'll be looking at the current sources. And first of all, let's start by seeing a basic definition for a current source. From here it says a current source is an electrical circuit whose current is independent of the voltage across it. Let me stop there. This simply means that whenever you see any circuit that the current across it is not affected by the voltage across that path, it simply means you have a current source. I would like to first of all assume we should be familiar with some of the terms we are going to be hearing in this. It's going to be a series. Things like bias, BJT junctions, and the rest of them. The long and short of it is that you shouldn't be a complete novice. But even if you are, I would keep this as simple as possible so that you can be able to understand. And for any question you might have, I think the links are open for you to be able to send your questions and comments. Now, I'd like to start by saying, current sources are not really in discrete form like any of these components you have, unlike resistors and capacitors. Current sources are not in discrete form. They are actually circuits you build. You cannot really go to any market and then ask to be given a current source. You would have to construct them yourself. And the basic building block for let's say a basic current source is actually a transistor. Any class of the transistors, either the BJT or MOSFET, they can do quite a good job. So this is a classical example of a BJT transistor. This is a P-type. There are in two types. You have the NPN and then the PNP. And so this is the PNP. This is the circuit symbol for it. And so this is what you will normally see in circuits. If we move to the next slide here, you will see that this is just a basic current source. In other words, this circuit you are having here will actually produce this loop here, which will be independent of the voltage source, that is this voltage here. The current through this part will actually be independent of the voltage across it, and so it will not really be affected by the voltage. Alright, but here it will serve as the control, if you can get the point. So here we have just basic things to note. The base collector junction must be reverse bias, or the collector must be at a higher potential. That is, this voltage must be higher than this in order for you to have a reverse bias here, and then this in turn must be higher than this. That is, the base voltage must be higher than the emitter voltage. That will give you a forward bias, and then the collector voltage being higher than the base voltage will give you a reverse bias at this junction. So this setup will guarantee a current source. And then I think I have a basic circuit for that here in proteus. And so I think we would like to step to proteus to be able to see it. Let's simulate it and see. So this is a basic current source I have set up here, and this is to just give us an idea of what I'm I just explained. So if I should go ahead and run this here now, you will discover that the battery 1 here is just 1 volt, and then B2 here is 3 volt. So with this setup, we see that a 1 volt battery will be able to control a large current in this loop. Now basically you have 2 loops here. This is loop 1 and this is loop 2. You will discover that this loop will have full control over this. So any changes made here will be felt greatly here. And so this is the only loop that has control over this. If we go ahead and change this, you will discover that it has no effect on the current. So let me go ahead and change the value of this voltage. Let's move it to like 2 volts, for example, and then go ahead and run this, and you'll discover that our current still remains the same. So you will see that whether we increase this or we reduce it, it should not affect the current that we have here. So that is why we call this a current source. So this is a basic current source. There are more advanced one, but for a start, to make it more simple, this is a basic current source. And so this is just an introduction to the series. We'll be digging a little bit deeper into current sources and to see how we can make the most of everything. So if you could join me in more coming tutorials so that we can make the best out of the experiences we have. Thank you, and I'll see you later.